as many of you know, we do an essay contest every year. It's our Hope and Stanley Adelstein Free Speech Essay Contest. And I know many of you remember Hope and Stanley. They were absolutely amazing. And we're really privileged to be able to remember them every year with our essay contest, which invites students, high school students from across the region, to think about a topic related to free speech. And the prompts are always designed by other high school students from our Youth Forum Council, by the way. Well, we have one of the winners with us today, the Uelle Bishop from Cuyahoga Valley Christian Academy. Come on up. Please join me in welcoming Uelle to the stage. Uelle's a 10th grader at Cuyahoga Valley Christian Academy and the top prize winner in the 9th and 10th grade category. So please enjoy.
Throughout the years, social media use has become more and more prominent among younger generations. This has left the question of what limits should remain on these platforms to restrict the rights of free expression. In addition to this, there are several responsibilities that come along with having these platforms. Social media platforms can balance the right of free expression among its users by inserting guidelines, monitoring speech, and promoting responsibility to younger generations. Users can take on these responsibilities by agreeing to social media platforms' guidelines to ensure the accountability is taken for their actions. To begin, inserting guidelines on social media platforms can help avoid the risk of users abusing their rights of free speech, spreading hate, and creating disturbance among other users. When these guidelines are violated, there should be consequences put in place in order to stop the problem from reoccurring. The specific violation should include any form of bullying, use of slurs, or being severely inappropriate. Users would then take accountability for their violations by getting flagged the first time and then getting banned from the website if done again. Platforms will only interfere in those circumstances in order to protect the rights of users' rights of free speech. In addition to this, these guidelines will help users put into practice the appropriate use of free expression on these platforms. It will help encourage them to stay within the platform's guidelines and regulations. In short, passing these guidelines will help avoid inappropriate use of platforms, all while helping users stay on track. Furthermore, social media platforms should monitor speech of users only after they have violated the terms of use. By doing this, the democracy and free expression of users will stay protected and will not get violated unless they do not respect these guidelines. In order to protect the privacy, monitoring on these platforms will not be used as a tool to eavesdrop on or collect a user's personal information. However, it will function in a way that restricts and censors speech that remains outside the guidelines. Monitoring on these platforms will proceed in a way to keep a record of violations that a user has crossed and the number of times platforms flag their posts. Therefore, monitoring on social media platforms should exist only in a way to restrict harmful speech and not to invade the privacy of its users. In addition to these points, younger generations need to become more responsible on social media to avoid running into problems later in life. Social media platforms could put in age restrictions, but there is no guarantee that their platforms would remain child-free. Considering why it would be more reliable for social media platforms to have guidelines to remain free from hateful and scarring speech. Parents also must inform their children on what they can share on social media and the consequences that come along with having this privilege. Additionally, schools should step in and educate their students on what responsibilities come along with having freedom of speech. In summary, younger users need to be taught responsibility to understand the consequences of their words before engaging in social media. With all these aspects considered, social media comes with much freedom, given why regulations need to remain in place for users to take accountability. Unfortunately, many social media users do not take responsibility for their actions because of the lack of restrictions being established. On top of that, many risks come along with having social media, especially among adolescents. These reasons and many more show the importance of monitoring posts and guidelines being put onto these platforms to properly deal with violations. However, while dealing with those violations, it is also important to respect the rights of a user's free expression and speech. Through making these few changes, the rights of a user's free expression as well as their accountability will undeniably be balanced.
Thank you so much, Uelle. It's a really wonderful contest that we get to do this, a really wonderful thing that we get to do this.